This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's now 6:30 and I'll call this Surfside Beach Town Council meeting to order. We'll have the invocation from John Schaefer and from the Discovery Church.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you do and that you start off your meetings like this. I just wanted to say a real quick thing. I didn't have a whole lot to say. I was open to prayer, but I was walking to get something to drink because you told me I had time. And I was just thinking about when we planted our church in Surfside. Our church was kind enough. It had been around for a while. We were a brand new church plant. We didn't have anything. We had a few metal chairs. And a church donated us 200 brand new chairs, very similar to these. So I ran it by the church and I'm like, excited, but I mean, it's kind of a no brainer, right? Are we going to do it? Everybody's like, yeah, we're going to do them. We get them. And 3 people said, well, if we'd have known they were going to be this color, we probably wouldn't have done it. I say that to say, I was thinking about the position you guys are in sometimes. Sometimes, when you're dealing with the public, it's hard. And I know you have hard decisions to make. And we realize that and we appreciate you for that. So with that, if we would just bow our heads and let us pray, close our eyes. Dear Lord, I pray, God, tonight that you guide us always, Lord, and that you satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting tonight, God. God, please strengthen this council as they make these tough decisions, God. And I pray, God, that they will be like a well-watered garden, Lord, that produces good fruit. I pray that the work done here tonight be fruitful. And Father, please guide them so that this meeting can be productive, effective, and decisive. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there is no public hearing this evening, and I will now accept any motions relating to the agenda. Okay, if there's no motions relating to the agenda, the next thing is the minutes approval for June 14th, 2022's regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the June 14th, 22 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote on it? Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Preclaw,
Yes.
Kinkin,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and I'm yes too, so that passed unanimously. Next thing on the agenda is public comments, and these are public comments relating to things that are on the agenda. So we'll welcome those. Okay, if we have no public comments, we'll move straight into communication. And the first thing under communication is the finance report by Director King. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. This would be the report for May for the town of Surfside Beach. We only have 1 more month to go. That's the good news. It's been a productive year so far. The general fund expenditures do exceed the revenues by 1.3 million year to date. Revenue totals 6.5, while expenditures total 7.8. This decreases in revenue is due to the transfer of the American Rescue funds from the general fund to the capital projects fund. However, revenue from business licenses, franchise fees, intergovernmental revenue will be collected during June, which should bring us back on par. We expect the final result will be slightly negative due to the land and building purchase, but will not equal the negativity that's in the budget. There were 68 new business license accounts opened in May. 12 were new businesses, about 15 were new rentals, 13 were new contractors, and 28 were out-of-town businesses, that mostly due to vendors coming to the 2 markets in town. Special revenue funds, accommodations, hospitality, and local tax. Accommodations fund revenue totals $677,000, which comes from the state. Hospitality collections totaled $908,000, which comes from ourselves, and $1.1 million from Horry County. Local tax was $192,000 year to date, $203 from Horry County. In addition, these two funds received $622,000 from Horry County as the settlement of the H-tax dispute. The 21-22 budget has the funds from Horry County being used for the pier. Capital Projects Fund, the road paving project that started in March 22 is now complete. We expect CTC reimbursement, which is County Transportation Commission, will reimburse in a portion of our cost. Funds from the American Rescue Plan have been transferred to this fund. Stormwater Utility Fund engineering work has started on the next phase of the stormwater project, totaling $23,000 so far. The Dogwood Swash project is now complete. The town expended $530,000 this year for this project. We will be submitting for reimbursement from the South Carolina Rural Infrastructure Authority for some of the costs of this project. The two enterprise funds, the pier fund, the pier cost for reconstruction is on the next page, which we'll go over in a minute. Sanitation fund revenue from fees, grants, and the sale of assets totals $1.465 million. We expect that this fund will have a positive results for the year. Linear revenue, including citations, total $54,000 for the month of May, $378,000 for the year, which started last June, so it goes from last July on. If you go to the next page for the pier, in June, we paid them payment number 21 to Consensus for a total of that month. This for June, it was $782,738,000 minus the retainage. It's $756,289. Total to date we've paid to Consensus is $9,460,603, and we would still owe them the retainage. The cost to date, Consensus cost to complete is the next line down, $5,335,203. So far, we spent $10,242,000 on the pier, $1,267,000 on the building, for a total of $11,509,000. Plus, we paid interest of $110,000 for a total cost that we spent on the pier so far of $11,620,000. The grant, if you go down about halfway down the page, the total grant is $9,009,000 from FEMA. We've received $9,027,000. So we only have $581,806 less to come in from FEMA. The rest of it will be on us. We look at what we think is available, and we haven't gotten, we're supposed to get another grant from the state, hopefully. We think we'll have $18 million, $18,936,000 in funds. And we project the cost, if you go all the way down to the bottom right-hand corner, that's so far what we've anticipated. And we don't know everything, obviously, just what we know so far, that the cost of the pier would be $17,959,000. So it's almost $1 million difference to our favor. Thank goodness. If you look at all the rest of the funds, I've noted on the bottom where we stand in each fund. There is a budget amendment we made last meeting that will come through on the next meeting, on the next report, I mean. But if anybody has any questions, I don't know if I made any notes or anything. I see. I don't think so. We seem to be doing, we should get quite a bit in the next 2 months. As you know, the accounting rules allow anything that comes in through the month of August can be booked back to June. So we have 2 months to collect any additional revenue rather than just what comes in through June. Anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Good job. Thank you very much.
All right.
Next thing on the agenda is Surfside Beach to adopt, or I'm sorry, the PIO Events Monthly Report by Rob Bloomquist.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. All right, so this summer, the town is once again offering weekly live music performances at Memorial Park. These performances are from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays until September 25th. Crowds have been growing each week. Actually, this past week, Carolina Soul performed, and they had the largest crowd thus far. The town has also brought back its weekly beach hula shows this summer, performed by Aloha Island Experience. The first show took place on June 7th. Hundreds of people have been showing up each week. We did the first 3 weeks at 3rd Avenue South, realized we needed more parking, so it's now moved down to 3rd Avenue. Sorry, it was at 3rd Avenue North, now moved down to 3rd Avenue South. And again, those shows are at 7 o'clock from 7 to 8 on Tuesdays. In addition, just for the kids, Adventure is back this summer with their Crafters Code program. Program is every Wednesday from 9:30 to 11, also at 3rd Avenue South. Last week they did sand volcanoes. Unfortunately, this week with the rain and thunder and lightning, we ended up having to cancel today. But they'll be back on, I believe, the 12th. So after the 4th of July, they'll take a week and come back after that. Many of you were at the World 1000 race that returned this year after a hiatus due to COVID. The Surfside Beach collaborated with the race organizers to be a checkpoint for the 1,000-mile catamaran race from Hollywood, Florida to Virginia Beach, Virginia. The race included 13 teams of sailors representing at least 6 different countries. Team Australia won the race with a total time of 87 hours, 40 minutes, and 44 seconds. Race organizers are planning for the next race in 2024 and say they would like to return here to Surfside Beach as another check-in again that year. The 4th of July Golf Cart Parade will take place at 10 a.m. on Monday, July 4th. The route will run down Ocean Boulevard from 16th Avenue North to 16th Avenue South. I'd like to thank some members of KSBB that are helping me kind of coordinate some gifts for that, some gift cards for that, as well as judges and location for that. The town's 4th of July celebration goes from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Martin Field. For the kids, we'll have a bounce house, a slip and slide, a face painter, and many giveaways. We're also going to have live music, again, by Carolina Soul, and food trucks. We'll have about 7 food trucks so far. We continue to look for volunteers to help with town events. There is a link on the town's website and town's Facebook page. So if you are interested in volunteering and helping out events, I met with a few of them this past week. Please see me after the meeting or go to our website. And then speaking of volunteering, the monthly beach sweeps organized by Keep Surfside Beach Beautiful continue to go strong. The next beach sweep will take place on Saturday morning, July 9th from 9 to 10. Those are on the 2nd Saturday of each month, except for September. That's going to be the 3rd Saturday of the month. So many of you, onto public information, many of you should have received a new quarterly newsletter in the mail last April. It was the first time in a while the town has printed a physical newsletter. We plan to send the summer newsletter out to the printing company in the coming weeks, and that should go out by the middle of July. We're doing that quarterly. The new town website went live today. The site built by Civic Plus is a cleaner, more user-friendly experience than our previous one. It features new, easy-to-read calendars for town meetings and events, and users can sign up for notifications for changes to the website, newsflash items, calendar entries, and meeting agendas. And then finally, the town of Surfside Beach has been named the best beach in the WMBF News 2020 Best of the Grand Strand contest. This contest was created in 2014 as a way for people in our area to nominate and vote for their favorite businesses and other entities along the Grand Strand. And winning this award reaffirms what many in our town already know, that people love coming to and living here in Surfside Beach. That's all.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, I want to thank you for what you've done on the website, and for everybody that's listening. Our website went live today, so it's a brand new website. So I invite you, everybody, to take a look at it and navigate it and see how you like it. And Rob would appreciate any comments you have on it.
Of course.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next thing on the agenda is discussion items, which there is nothing listed here. Next is business, second reading of ordinance 220949, municipal budget and ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach to adopt the 2022-23 fiscal year municipal budget and to set the millage rate for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the second reading of the ordinance 22-0949 of the municipal budget for the coming year of 2022-23.
Second.
Okay, I have a second by Mr. Holder. Discussion? Anybody have any comments on this before we vote?
I think we've talked about it.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. Okay, Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating.
No.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Kinkin,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and I'm yes too. So the budget has passed finally.
Thank
you. Next thing is the First reading of ordinance 220946, chapter 12, streets, beaches, other public places by Director Adair. Is he here?
He is not here today. He had a family issue that he had to take care of.
You want to take his place?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best, sir. And there is no change to it. The idea of this is to hit the stuff that, Robert needs. And in reference to the right-of-way stuff, none of it is being touched or moved or changed because we're not done with that yet. We've got to put something together that the council likes. So right-of-way stuff is the same as it was before this.
Okay. Do I have a motion on this second reading on that?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion
Or
to,
is it first reading? I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance 220946, chapter 12.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. King can second it. Discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, does this mean we are going to undertake enforcement of what's been on the books, or are we just kicking the can down the road for some future unknown position?
Good question.
Well, it's my understanding that we are going to still be reviewing it in the future, but we're not going to address it at this time. Is there any other discussion on it?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend that motion on section 12-21D. Any instructions or plants deemed to be in the right of way as of June 29th, 2022 shall be considered existing non-conforming use until such time as the town has an active project that will require removal. This does not apply to obstructions that are in the line of sight. They need to be removed.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that defeats the purpose of just setting aside this section to be further discussed. You know, the principle of the first reading and the motion was to accept this version of chapter 12 to basically leave the right-of-way discussion as it exists today and not making modifications to it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
why can't we go ahead and make the modifications and pass this chapter 12 as of right now?
The reason I made that motion is the town of Surfside Beach has not uniformly enforced this code over the years. I can go into a lot of examples if you'd like. And they've done other grandfathering on other issues. And to me, this is the time to grandfather this. We've talked about it. It's not creating a hazard. There's no injuries associated with it. It's just these things have crept up over the years, and some of the stuff that's in the right of way was here before Surfside was. So Surfside Beach, excuse me, Tom. And it's just, it's time we give grandfather everything that's in place and move on from there. And equally enforce it in the future. So that's why I made the motion that I did. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question for our town attorney. Is she here?
Yes. Jenny?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
My question is that we have a motion before us to accept chapter 12, the first reading of chapter 12 as it stands on the right of ways. And then I had a second person make a motion to amend that, to add some wording to it, to grandfather some of the parts in. The question is, those are two separate motions. Do they need to be voted on separately?
Yes, what you have on the table right now is simply a motion to amend what was presented for first reading. You need a second and a discussion and a vote on that to see if the amendment passes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion on it before we vote on the first? So the first motion that we have is to accept chapter 12 as is, grandfather, or not grandfathering, but
You have to do the amendment first, sir.
Yes, you,
Amendment first.
the amended first?
Yes, and if
Okay.
that fails, then you go back to the first one. If it passes, then you stay with that.
All right.
and
so
Mr.
the
Mayor, if
first-
I may, Mr. Mayor, I don't know that you have a second yet. Sherry can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not know that there's a second on that amendment yet.
There is.
Okay, my apologies.
So she said to run the,
You have to do the amendment first.
Vote on
and
Yeah, the amendment
If
first.
it passes, it's done. If it fails, then we go back to the original motion.
okay, is there any discussion, further discussion on the amendment before we vote on it? Okay, Mr. Stamey?
Would you repeat exactly what we were voting on now?
To amend the motion.
There's an amendment. You want to read your amendment?
Yes.
21D.
And read into the microphone so everybody can hear it.
Therefore, as of June 29th, 2022, any obstruction or plant deemed to be in the right of way shall be considered existing non-conforming use until such time as the town has an active project that will require removal. This does not apply to obstructions that are line of sight issues.
Okay.
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
No.
Crickland,
No.
Yes.
No,
Drake,
no.
and I'm no. So that did not pass. Now we'll go to the original one, which was to accept chapter 12 with the current reading as is. And this is the first reading. Mr. Stamey,
No.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
No.
Yes.
Kinkin,
No.
Drake.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to vote yes to that. So it ended up not passing by 4-3. All right, moving right along. The next thing is the second reading of ordinance 220948, chapter 9, motor vehicle and traffic. Mr. Shanahan.
Yes, sir. There has been no changes to this since the last time we read it.
And you want to give us a review of what it is? so
I
that-
can do that,
so
yes,
that
sir.
the-
Okay, it's in section 9-7. There'll be no parking places. We'll amend this section as follows. Subparagraph 7, replace metered space or pay station area with pay to park area and delete or upon any public right of way. Subparagraph 8, modify this subparagraph to read as follows. Upon any public right of way in violation of section 12-21. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. And with the vehicle parked in any manner other than parallel with the roadway and facing the proper flow of traffic, unless otherwise authorized in a legal marked and designated parking area. Section 9.8 definitions, amend this paragraph to include the following new definitions. Electronic payment means payment of parking fees in an electronic application or services that requires electronic payment in exchange for authorized authorized parking in the designated public parking areas such as, but not limited to, Park Mobile or Park to Text to Park. Electronic payment area means a designated area where a vehicle may be temporarily parked and allowed to remain for a period of time upon payment of U.S. currency via electronic payment as indicated by the electronic services designed for the collection of the associated parking fees. Pay to park area means a designated area where a vehicle may be temporarily parked and allowed to remain for a period of time upon payment of U.S. currency in a parking meter, pay station, or electronic payment. Section 9-9 charges. This section will be modified as follows. The title of paragraph A shall be amended to read all pay to park areas. Paragraph D2 shall be deleted in its entirety and the remaining paragraphs renumbered accordingly. Paragraph D3 shall be modified to read as follows. D3, Hollywood Drive to Pinewood Drive. Parking spaces on Surfside Drive between Hollywood and Pinewood Drive are designated as pay to park area using the identified electronic payment. Excuse me. Section 9-10, method of using failure to deposit U.S. currency, electronic payment, or pay at pay station. Add new paragraph as follows and renumber the existing paragraph as D. It'll be C and it'll state the owner or operator of any vehicle upon entering an electronic payment area shall immediately register the vehicle with the electronic collection services and provide a valid credit card to be debited the necessary U.S. currency payment and follow the instructions of the electronic collection services. 9-11, parking within marked spaces. Modify this section to read as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person operating any vehicle to stop, stand, or park that vehicle on any of the streets or areas designated as pay to park areas, except within the limits provided by this chapter. Section 916, decals and exemptions. This section shall be modified as follows. A, paragraph A shall be amended as follows. Such decal shall allow the vehicle to park free of charge at any pay to park areas where the collection means are by parking meter, pay station, or electronic payment. The final sentence of this section shall be deleted in its entirety. Paragraph A4 shall be modified to read, beach access parking. Golf carts may park at a beach access crossover point when space is available. No golf cart may be of a length or parked in a manner to block access or to impede travel through the area. No golf cart may be parked or operated in any manner that may cause damage to the adjacent properties. All beach access parking is designated a pay to park area using electronic payment. Excuse me. The first sentence, paragraph A6, shall be modified to read, upon approval of the town council, parking permits for free parking at the pay to park areas shall be issued to participants in the event. Paragraph B shall be modified to read as follows. Golf carts without town issued parking decals. Golf carts without a town issued parking decal shall pay the applicable fees while parked at any pay to park area. Those are the changes, sir.
Okay, do I have a motion on that?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we take the second reading of resolution, the ordinance of 22-04-948, chapter 9 for second reading. Pass.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion before we vote on that? Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Crecklaw,
Yes.
Kinkin,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and I'm yes too, so that passed unanimously. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the resolution 220151, celebrate Surfside Beach road closure. Do I have a motion on that?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept resolution 22-0151 for temporary suspending of certain enforcement of certain ordinances on September 24th between the hours of 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote? Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Crecklaw,
Yes.
Kinkin,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and I'm yes too, so that passed unanimously. And last thing on the agenda is the appointment to the parking committee. Do I have a motion on that?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept Lanny Kimball as a replacement on the parking committee. He lives here in Surfside Drive and Surfside Beach. And he was one of the 3 people that applied before. I took 2 other people, and one has since resigned. So I have an opening. The parking committee has an opening. I'd like to put Lanny's name in as a replacement.
Second.
Okay, any discussion before we do that? Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Holder,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Crecklaw,
Yes.
Kinkin,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and I'm yes too. So that's passed. Next thing on the agenda is public comments, and these are public comments pertaining to town services or business conducted. Good evening.
Good evening, Harry Coleman, 10th Avenue North. There once was a time in Surfside Beach where the storefronts, they weren't allowed to put a chair out or any of their wares, because there was an ordinance. I still think there's an ordinance about doing that. A little bit too strict, I thought at that time. But right now, we have a store owner, sign company, on Highway 17 business, right around 9th Avenue South. Not only does he have his product stacked there, it's strewn all over his parking lot. There's forklifts there now. It's a mess. It's not what the look of the town should be. I don't know if you don't have an inspector anymore, but you should definitely look at it because it's out of control. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Ron Ott, 7th Avenue North. I was looking for the agenda tonight, and Mr. Robert, terrific job on the website. Much better than Microsoft's Xbox website. I'll tell you that much. I have a lot of complaints with them with this, but the ease of operation on this was miraculous for me to find that. Good job. The other thing I want to ask about is one of the most important things that I see in this town, and that's our pier, okay? And I've seen people working on the little boxes, putting the boxes on the top that we're going to call buildings, okay? I don't see anybody for months, I'm going to say over 4 months, working on the pier. I have a good friend of mine that works for the Florida Department of Transportation. They're building a 18-mile bridge across Tampa Bay, and it's going to be done before this is. I have no idea what's going on with it, nor does anybody else in this town. I'm concerned. And I wish the council, in your comments, would tell the people of the town of Surfside Beach what you know about the pier. That's what I want to see. I've seen other people here talk about that pier. I've been to many business committee meetings, and that was a Buffalo job. Okay. But I'd like to know Is this pier going to be finished? Is there major problems? Maybe we don't need to know that. Because I may know a lot of problems that exist. Okay. I don't know. Did we crack the coquina shelf? Does anybody know that? I hope that never happens. Thank you very much for your time.
Tom Dodge, 8th Avenue South. I'm just wondering why council allows free parking on Yopon Drive. It is parked solid with cars every day of the week. We're losing a lot of money on parking there. Somebody should think of maybe changing the rules on that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, next, since, I'm sorry. Come on. I'm waiting on you.
Gary White, 315B Lakeside Drive. I'm a little confused. I'm confused about the second thing we did on the agenda. 220946. We had an amendment that was rejected. And then we also had, well, the whole thing was rejected, right? So are we still in the first reading or in the second reading?
First.
So when we come back, it'll still be first reading. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, if that's all the public comments, we'll have the council comments because we're probably going to have an executive session. So we'll start out with Mr. Stamey.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to thank our fire department for an excellent job they done over the week. As many of you don't know, that they had a big fire down in Fireland, and our fire department was one of the first that got there. So congratulations, guys, on a well done job. Thank you. And on another note, this deal with Chapter 12, as we've discussed, and we didn't pass again, nobody wants to give a little bit or take a little bit or get this worked out. It seems like it's been a big problem. And I hope until we get it straightened out and get the right thing done for the town overall, I hope we keep not passing it. I hope we get it right and make you citizens happy, because that's my goal, is to make you happy, because y'all the ones that live here and you're the ones that's got to make the decisions. You got to pass them to us to help us make the decision, right decision. And thanks again, and everybody have a great 4th of July, and get out and do our golf cart parade.
Mr. Holder.
Yes, I want to thank everybody that came tonight and those that are online. It's great to see the vacationers here. You ride down Ocean Boulevard and every place is full. And you can tell it. And our restaurants are full, and it's good to see the active summer we have. I just had a friend call me and said, I'm trying to get a place, a 1-bedroom place. He said, I can't find anything in Surfside for the summer, all summer long. And that's a good problem to have, be sold out. So it's good to see. So I also want to thank our firemen for the job they did at the Fireland and what they do for us on a regular basis. Thank you. And thank you for our police department for the work you're doing this summer and working with the busy, it's traffic and everything's so busy. It's a lot to keep up with. Y'all doing a great job. So, and I'll see you on Monday at the golf cart parade. Thank you.
Ms. Keating.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's good to see almost a full house. That's very encouraging. We have accomplished a few things here tonight, but we continue to struggle to come up with reasonable compromise to be moving forward. But we'll get there sooner or later, hopefully the sooner. We have made some major accomplishments over the past several years. It's only hoping that we can continue with the directive of cleaning up our ordinances and removing things that we can't reasonably expect our code enforcement or our police officers to enforce. And that's kind of what we're struggling with on the right-of-ways right now. There's 4 or 5 purposes of the right-of-ways by either the state DOT or local reasons. We've got, parking, and we continue to have a parking committee that wants to make all of our right-of-ways, it seems, into paid parking areas, which is not necessarily a really good idea. I know we have several areas in town that you literally cannot see around the cars that are parked on the streets, and that does pose a problem. So we have to be very judicious on establishing paid parking in our right-of-ways. But I think we will come to a compromise and move forward with providing an ordinance that we can enforce, and we can enforce for everyone. We've talked about we should grandfather things. Well, grandfathering is usually something that's reserved for zoning changes, where what you had was once compliant, but for whatever reasons, the zoning ordinances have changed and you now have a non-complying property, but that's grandfathered in unless you do some major changes. You do major changes to it, then it has to come within the standards of the new zoning ordinance. Very rarely do you get grandfathered in on just local laws. They changed the speed limit on Highway 17. Just because we lived here when it was faster doesn't mean we can still go that speed limit. So it either has to be enforced or not. And we've got to find that middle ground where we can all live with what's going to be enforced and serve the various purposes of the right-of-ways. So with that, I hope to see everybody this weekend at the 4th of July event. I want to thank the ladies of KSBB and also Robert for all their hard work in putting all the events together, not just the 4th of July, but all the rest that are going to be upcoming throughout the rest of the year. So they work hard at it and they do a fabulous job. So I think if there's anybody out there that would like to help orchestrate some of these events and maybe help administer them or implement them on the days of the events, I'm sure Robert would be happy to take your phone calls. So with that, as always, just stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in a couple more weeks.
Mr. Cricklaw.
Thanks to everyone that came out. It's good to see a almost full house, and thanks to everybody that called in. As I say a lot of times, thanks to all the employees of the town. We're in our busy time of the year, and I'm sure they're feeling the crunch. Police, fire, everybody. There's more garbage. There's more for everybody to do, but we all appreciate it. I guess that's all I have for the night. So I'll see you next time.
Mr. Kinkin.
Yeah, I also want to thank everybody for coming out. It is nice to see a full house. I hope there are people listening in or watching us. I've got to thank our staff because they do a great job to keep the town functioning. Our first responders, whether it be fire or police, they keep us safe. It just gives us all a good feeling, know that we have excellent people working for us. And also Public Works. They're some of the friendliest people in town if you get a chance to talk to them. They keep this town clean and they just do a great job. I want to thank Rob for all the summer events. It looks like a lot of activity going on, and I hope people do take advantage of it. And I also want to hope everybody has a great 4th of July. Come out and watch the fireworks. And we just live in a great town, and we're so blessed to be here. Thank you.
Mr. Drake.
I'd like to thank everybody also for tuning in and coming out tonight, and a full house. And again, thank you to our police department, fire department, Public Works, and Rob. Y'all do a great job. No questions asked in Public Works also. And finally got the budget done, and we got the Chapter 12, we're still working on. It's got some more stuff's got to be tweaked in it. But if we're going to make an ordinance, it needs to be something that Kenny Hoffman and the zoning people can enforce. And that's nothing that you'd want to just take lightly. So it has to be something that's enforceable, not to put it on the books, just to put it there and say, we got something that means nothing. Our firework ordinance went into place, but as you notice, Myrtle Beach passed theirs. So somebody can now look it up and they can see Myrtle Beach has it and they can do it at the property owner's home. Well, the two are different. But I think that's going to come back to us and we're going to have to probably look at it again. But anyway, we trying hard and we disagree on things, but that's what we're here for. We're supposed to disagree on things and we have to work through them, and a little give here, a little give there, and hopefully get something that is workable for everybody in town and is legal. It has to be legal. So that's the number one part. So thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, I want to put a word out to the fire department for all the stuff they've done and all the things we read about and things we've heard about, where you've been over to Ocean Lakes and you've been to Pirate Land. Knock on wood that we haven't had a big issue like that here in Surfside. But we appreciate you guys being around and we appreciate hearing about you guys. And the same with the police department. You know, I was at the Music at the Park in Passive Park on Sunday, and there was a police officer walking around on a beat patrol, coming and talking to everybody. That's what I like to see. And so I want to give accolades to the police department on that. Rob, you've done a great job on the music thing, and we're looking forward to what you got for the 4th of July. So keep in touch. And as far as the public comment we had before about the pier is coming along okay. Now that we've had problems with the pier, we have a supply chain problem where, you know, when we go to order the parts that we needed to get, you know, sometimes they're taking 4 to 6 weeks. But I have never, and I've gone up on the pier and seen it from up top. I've never gone up on the pier where there hasn't been at least 15, 20 people up on top of the pier in the buildings working during the day. And I mean, it's moving right along. And I won't say it's behind schedule, but I won't say it's above schedule either. So we're working on it and doing the best we can. And I appreciate everybody's support. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Just like our citizens to know that tomorrow we will have a date for our next citizen workshop. It'll be in July. The two areas that we're planning to talk about is, number one, of course, is the budget. We want you to know what it is and how we got there. We think that's very important that our citizens know that. And we will add an update on the pier in that meeting too, to make sure everybody knows where we're at with the pier.
Good. Good deal. So y'all have a good evening. And if I can get a motion to go into executive session, we'll see if we're going to go in tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to enter into executive session in accordance with Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-470A1, for discussion of potential employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee.
Second.
Okay. Any comment, Mr. Stamey?
No.
Holder?
Yes.
Keating?
Yes.
Crackwell?
Yes.
Kinkin?
Yes.
Drake?
Yes.
Forgot your name. And I'm yes too. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting here and go into executive session.
This conference will now be recorded.
Just to let you know, Bill, I wasn't